Welcome back for one more video today. Namely, we're gonna have a video of the Starcraft World 1 vs 1 ladder of Season 17 between two of the top dogs of this season. Scan here on the orange Zerg, who has been making waves the last couple of days by beating a lot of really top-end players. He's beaten Gangster Jose 8-2. And he's beaten Zu Agua, who is most likely the player Kokani, known to a lot of people as Cole or Silent Searcher or Vance, who has been one of the top dogs in the foreign scene for fastest map in the last couple of years. Even though Agua was kind of cheesing most of the time, Scan managed to hold his own and win, I think it was 8 matches and only lose 5 of them. So he played that really well. And that has impressed a lot of people, because a lot of people were kind of doubting his ability, but he's proven himself to be a legitimate top tier player, even with his limited amount of experience and knowledge of fastest maps. Most of the time, with some races, he's still pretty much just improvising based off of the knowledge that he has from regular maps and his experience playing against pro players and semi-pro players and top amateur players within the Korean Brood War scene. And a little bit of background information on Rillo. He appeared out of nowhere this season, made some waves. He beat Lovely Rabbit twice, although I do have to admit Lovely Rabbit was doing his trademark risky build orders and it backfired immediately. And Rillo was also stream sniping, because Rillo is known as Jose. He is Gangster Jose. And Gangster Jose, aka Zu Rillo, has been BMing Scan quite a bit. As you can see, they're chatting about it as well. He's playing the Terran here in the bottom of the map, but you've probably already noticed that one, so I'm not going to say a lot more about him playing Terran, although I have already said too much about him playing Terran. Even though I said I wouldn't talk too much about him playing Terran, I did it nonetheless. Scan here on the Zerg. He really loves playing a very micro-centric build order. Specifically because his micro is simply better than every single Western player in the world. Every single foreign player, every single non-Korean, his micro is better than them. And even for Koreans, his micro is quite considerably good. Specifically with Zerg and Terran. So he really likes to go for very microcentric build orders that are inching pretty close to the edge of a knife. Like, it could go wrong very easily if he didn't have those micro skills. But he managed to turn situations into his favor with pure micro, where you would think like, there's no way he's gonna get out on top in this situation. But then, with his micro, he winds up doing it anyway. Which is really impressive. So Jose tried to get a bunker up there in the front, but decides against it, pulls back, and balls up his mass inside of his base. Jose has already experienced Scan's Zerg versus Terran, so instead of going offensive, he's planning on going on the defensive. Because he's noticed that there were no more Sunkens being added here in the front. So he decided, well, Scan is perhaps going for Zerglings again, because last time around, Jose lost against Zerglings once. He also lost against a long game against Scan as well, which he lost as well. He hasn't managed to beat Scan on Terran versus Zerg yet. So he's going for a very defensive build. He's not adding a command center, so he's staying on a low economy. Although he does have quite a bit of over mining, so he can, in theory, build a command center. But I don't know if he's going to do it. Wait, there's the command center. So yeah, he's building the command center because he was overshooting on minerals. He couldn't spend it all that well. He places his marines behind the barracks just so he has a wall that Zerglings cannot go through. He's waiting for the tank to finish up bolting the tank against the barracks here to decrease the distance so he can protect that factory with the marines behind here. He's going for a stim upgrade. Medics probably as well. Yeah, just very slowly building up. Turtling this out. He doesn't want to be on the aggression, doesn't want to be on the offense, because he knows Scan will probably win that exchange. Scan is going for Mulalisk, it seems. He's going for quite a hatchery heavy build order, making his Sunkens here in the front quite compact. knowing that Jose probably won't go for the tank push yet, but will try to go for the Marine medic push, which it does look like he seems to be doing. Because Jose scouted the front here, saw he couldn't see the Suncaster in the back, now he sends the SCV in, he scouts Suncaster in the back as well, so he decides against going for the Stim medic range attack here on the front with the Marines and Firebats. So yeah, the game is just going to simmer on a little bit slowly but surely. Both players are doing their things. I'm not hearing game sounds. Maybe I put the game sound a little bit too low. Let's see, game sounds, let's fix that. Oh, now I hear the game sounds, just now it's a little bit loud. Yeah, so Marines are balling up there in the front, preparing themselves for that massive frontal attack, but the Sunguns being so close to each other is honestly really bad for those Marines, because the Marines will take hits very hard. He also doesn't have that many medics, so he probably won't be capable of healing up his Marines quick enough. Plus, Mulis have just finished up for scan, and he's going to apply his micro to pick off those units, one-shotting them with those 5 Mulisks. Almost one-shotting them, because 5 Mulisks actually deal just enough damage, 45 damage with the 5 Mulisks, and a Marine, of course, only has 40 HP, so he can one-shot Marines. He cannot one-shot Firebats, though, because those have 50 HP. What was it, 60? I think it was 50, so he cannot one-shot the Firebats, so he really just very easily stops that frontal attack from happening. Kills the most of the Marines that Jose had there. Really a big failure, so to speak. Then Scan just keeps scaling up on a very high hatchery count. Already on 4 extra hatcheries, 1 in the choke, but I usually don't count that one because it's going to die very soon. But don't get me wrong, it does have an impact on the ability to produce, get big, and get an eco running. It's a very important macro hatchery in that sense. Right, so he goes in for the micro with the Mulis, catches Jose off guard, already kills a couple of those SCVs here on the side, a couple of them here, I think 2 here, 3 here, 1, 2 here on the side. A couple of Marines there going down as well. He's using this portion really well. Jose cannot defend this, so he's going to lose a depot. He won't get supplies to go, so he lifts up the science vessel. He gotta lift up that starport as well, because it's going to go down if this keeps going on. But here comes the dropship. There's nothing here to defend. Oh wait, there is something here to defend. And he takes it down, but both tanks unload. This is gonna be a pretty bad shot here on... Actually, he doesn't really kill all that many. There he kills about 6. Alright, so he killed about 6. And it takes 2 shots to kill a single drone with the tank, so it winds up killing only 6. That's really good for Scan, because that could have turned out way worse had he responded differently, but he already had some Scorches and some Mulists there ready to take them down. And it looks like he lost the Mulist that he had here while trying to defend. But that's a bit unfortunate for Scan, that he had to juggle his attention, and I think he misclicked. Usually he would click them away from the starport, but it looks like he didn't, and the Mulists kind of killed themselves by going into the Marines. So that's bad for Scan, though. So it turns out Jose manages to limit the damage he was taking with the tank drop, even though the tank drop itself didn't really deal damage. Just prevented Scan from splitting up his focus on 2 separate locations at the same time. And finally the tank push started. He's got a vessel there as well to detect lurkers. Lurker aspect is on the way, but Scan is mostly just focusing on going for the Guardians here, which Jose is not yet fully prepared for. He does have vessels on the way, no Goliaths, no anti-air, no raids, no Valkyries. So if these were to turn into Guardians, which Scan at the moment cannot afford, he's got to wait for more gas, and he's spending all of his gas. Instead he has to go, ooh, Mulis not on hold position there, so they get drawn into the aggression, because the detectives on the right. So he's going for the aggression, tries to pick off that vessel, but the vessel does not go down. The vessel does have radiate, so I hope that Scan can split his Mulisk quick to prevent the radiate damage on his Mulisks. Hydralisks are spawning. They're going to be turned into very pretty ultra lurkers. A couple of lurkers already on the way here. He's got the Defiler mount. They're in the front, a bit of a weird position. Usually people make it there in the back, but he makes it here in the front. Assuming he will never ever lose these buildings here in the front. He's got his den there as well. It's also quite dangerous, but his lurkers are finishing up just in time. He's got Defilers on the way, and Consume is about to be finishing in about 15 seconds. So you will have that lurker swarm up and running by the time that Jose starts hammering. Has pretty much torn through this and starts hammering at this portion here. And once he has this portion secured with lurker swarm, I think Scan will be able to extend the game by quite a bit and start ramping up his economy and his mass even more. You can afford a couple more hatcheries, you can afford a lot of stuff. There comes a Radiate on one of those lurkers, this one. Going to go down to the Radiate, not sure if that was worth it, because he could have waited for the Defiler to spawn and radiated the Defiler. Defiler there in the back. He's balling up as soon as they're on the bottom side, waiting for Jose to overstep and unsiege. Jose unsieges. Now Scan is going to go in because he knows that he has to re-siege, and he goes in at the moment they're sieging, so at the moment where they cannot attack, and throws down the lurker swarm right on top of the tanks. They're in the front. Zergling staying under the lurker swarm, and the lurkers are zoning those marines and tanks away. Jose now goes in. Jose radiates the Defiler, but Scan gets another swarm down and pushes into the second dark swarm and pushes those units further away. Tank here goes down, and Jose is now left without tanks. Gotta wait for more tanks to spawn inside of his base, which he currently does not have. He's being very, very messy with his build. He's got no depots behind the gas here, so the gas production and income is going a little bit slower because they have to walk all the way around. Another Defiler has spawned. He's loading it up to 200 energy really, really quickly, making more Zerglings there as well. He's ready to go in for the attack. He's got Guardians there on the top side, morphing as well. He's got Great Vision on the top side there too, and Scorches to defend against the vessel abuse. That's a really smart move there from Scan. Prepared himself for every single scenario already. Devar there in the mix for the Valkyries. Does he have Valkyries on the way here? No Valkyries on the way. I don't see any Goliaths either, so I don't really see any anti-air here. Mostly because I think Jose was assuming just Lurker Swarm and Zerglings. And there another swarm comes down right in front of that mass. Lurkers moving forward, Zerglings there to distract, and once again he pushes himself a little bit deeper into the middle of the map, forces Jose back. Jose forced to sit and watch. Jose finally building more buildings, still no Goliaths, still no anti-air. Guardians just sitting there on the top side. Lurker Swarm pushing forward more and more. Once again tanks go down, and Jose is forced to pull back his marines there as well. A lot of upgrades now coming in for Scan. Oh, I hit the wrong key. This one I wanted. So he's got the upgrade on the way. You can't see it because it's for some reason bugging, but he's got upgrade flyer attacks on the way. Got energy, he's got burrow, he's got every single upgrade you can imagine on the way. Lurker upgrades as well, so he has a Lurker Ultralisk. I mean, he's got an Ultralisk Den, not a Lurker Den, because a Lurker Den does not exist. There, Ultralisk Den. Ultralisk Cavern it is actually called. He goes in, Zerglings is now attacking inside of Jose's base, just buying himself some time for another wave of the fighters to come into the mix, and keeping those Lurkers here alive on the middle of the map, while Jose is forced to camp it out inside of his base. Got upgrades on the way there. His base is still very, very messy, and I'm feeling that Jose is getting a bit nervous here, because he's already lost once to Scan. Wait, he killed the drones with the Radiate. That was very crucial. That was a very crucial thing to happen, because Scan is on very low minerals and he cannot make that many drones, so it's going to take him a while to ramp back up and get back into the game. It's a little bit of an oversight there. He did have the vision, but he didn't respond in time, which I admit sometimes it's really hard to respond when you're so busy fighting, because you're so focused on clicking that you're not really looking at the minimap, which I've experienced is one of the downsides of the higher APM players. They tend to be clicking too much and not watching the minimap too often. Alright, so another dropship comes in, but this time he's got Guardians there ready to take down all those ground forces. Firebat gets on top of the drones, but the drones stay alive. Oh, he even attacked the wrong side there, so that's good. So already back on 50 drones, very slowly ramping back up. He's got Lurkers here in the front, the Phylus there as well with energy, so he can throw down the Lurker Swarm once he needs it. There it comes. Units moving forward, but they're walking into the Lurkers. Lurker Swarm, please come up. There comes the Lurker Swarm, and the Lurkers are once again protected. And Jose is once again incapable of moving into Scan's base. Great swarms there, great nice triangle of swarms. And the Defiler gets radiated. Another Defiler gets radiated as well. Will he get another radiate down before the Defiler dies? He doesn't get it down. Neither does he get one. Oh, he got one for that one, so he got a Defiler, another swarm down. In the end, now Zerglings are coming in. The Defilers are not. The Defilers are unburrowed. The Defilers are moving forward. The Defilers are burrowing up close to the tanks, and Zerglings are clearing the way and attacking and killing the tanks that are in the front. Well, that mass is going to be getting cleared out. More tanks are spawning and on the way. Jose's base is an absolute mess. Not often have I seen his base being a mess like this, but he must really be feeling the pressure, as I've mentioned before. So Zerglings are spreading out all over the map. So we can get in behind, or maybe he just overclicked them by moving them to the other side there to kill the units there on the middle. Lurker Swarm has ended. No, the fighter's here in the mix. The fighter there in the back. He's got to pull up something to the front. So he's sending his Guardians to the front. No, never mind. Guardians are moving back and forth. Vessel's coming into the mix. Does he have a burrow? 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 He burrows, and only a couple of them die. He managed to burrow just in the nick of time, because that would have been disastrous. Look at the HP. Like, he burrowed on the very last tick possible. Dropship comes in. Dropship gets taken down by the Scorches. Really great defense there from Scan. Playing very aware there. This time he is aware, knowing he cannot afford to lose his workers once again, because his minerals are still rather low. He could also use a couple more, about 10 or 20 more drones on his minerals. But as long as you're relying on Lurker Swarm, you honestly don't need that many drones on the minerals, because it's honestly quite cheap to do. The expensive part is the Mutalisks and the Guardians, and of course the Ultralisks that he's going to be making in the future. The upgrades are still all on the way. Let's see what upgrades he's got. 2-1. Jose is on 0-1, so Jose is quite a bit behind. And 0-0 for the Marines, which he's still using, but not upgrading. Jose, please get your mind back into the game, because you're dropping a lot of shots. Turret's now coming down here on the bottom side and the top side there as well. Getting himself some map control. Now scouting the map with the dropship. Just to see if there's an expo, because Scan likes to send out an expo really early on. He sends out a drone, makes a hatchery elsewhere, so he has a second location of attack and production. So you can also Nidus his units there. It's a really smart thing to do, getting that early, so you don't have to once you're boxed in by the Terran. Another push out. There's very little anti-air. A couple of Goliaths now there in the mix. He's hunting for vessels, but he doesn't find a single vessel. Guardians are clearing out the tanks. But Marines and Goliaths now shooting on the Guardians, but the Guardians have 1-1 upgrades. He's got level 2 weapon upgrades already, but no armor upgrades. Armor upgrade is on the way. A lot of Zergling spawning for Scan. So he's sticking to the combination of some Guardians, but mostly Lurker Swarm with Zerglings. He's mostly storing up on gas. I think there comes the Swarm. Keeps Jose out. Zerglings now entering as well. And Zerglings moving out. He's just throwing those Zerglings away while the tanks are sieging up. Knowing the tanks have to siege up, so he goes in while the tanks cannot attack. Which is a really smart move, because while they're sieging up, it's kind of like a self-stun for like a single second, where you have a chance to go in, but you gotta be very quick on the prediction or on the reaction to send in your units. Alright, a lot of Goliaths now coming out for Jose. The tank count has gone down. More factors being built here on the middle. I think he's discontinuing his Marine use in the near future, because he doesn't have upgrades for Marines, which makes him really weak. He's still making them though, but he's lifting up a couple of those barracks, so I'm expecting a full-on switch into full-on mech. He's only got 3 starports, which also is not that optimal, but he's playing this. He's managing. Although mostly because he managed to hit Scan's workers at a very crucial time, where he would have died if he hadn't. The hit on the drones was really crucial in slowing Scan down, although Scan is now back up and running. He's got a lot of hatcheries there, got a pretty good spread on those Guardians, and there's very little anti-air, as I've mentioned earlier, because he didn't make Valkyries. He's now made way too many Goliaths though. And if you have Lurker Swarm with Zerglings into Goliaths, the Goliaths don't do all that well. The Goliaths do amazing against the Guardians though. They really do. Some 2-1 upgrades, level 2 carapace, level 1 damage. Level 2 damage still on the Goliaths there. Vessels not using their radiate, but now Zerglings are coming in as well. But the big thing here is those Mutalisks there on the side denying Jose the turrets he was building up there on the side. But the turrets have served their function of seeing what is moving out to the bottom side. So at least Jose knows, or has denied, somewhat of a cheeky sneak here onto the bottom side, making Guardians and then killing all the depots here on the bottom side, which I'm sure Scanner was aiming to do by sending those Mulists down to the bottom side and starting Guardians there. He's denied that. Lurker Swarm once again comes down here in the front, denies Jose once again access to the front. All it takes is a single lapse in Lurker Swarm uptime, and Jose can break in. As long as he manages to deny that. Wait, he's going Mass Mulisks? He's going Mass Mulisks. I'm expecting a Queen soon as well. Oh, he walks in through the top side, knowing that the top side there is open. Finds himself a great spot. Both of the vessels go down. Mulisks are coming in. A massive Mulist is honestly really strong if they have some nice upgrades, which they in this case do have. Mass Mulist is honestly underrated, because you need a serious amount of Valkyries and Goliaths to fight it off. He is making Valkyries, but he's only got 3 Valkyries, and Scan is pretty good at splitting up his Mulisks around the Valkyries to deny the Valkyrie AoE damage from being maximized and optimized against his Mulisks. But Jose knows that Scan is aiming to go for the command center. He's got a vessel prepared, he's got 7 Valkyries as well, and 3 more of them are on the way. So this can get shut down really quick, really easily if Jose does it well. But on the other hand, Scan also has a chance to pull this off amazingly well if he manages to split them up quick enough. He goes for the armories, he doesn't go for the command center. That's pretty smart. And there he goes, he moves in on the Valkyries, gets a pretty good surround on the Valkyries. The Valkyries damage is not being optimized that well, so now they're kind of stacking up. Right there, he splits them up better even. Like, it looks very eventually, alright. Ooh, that's smart. There's a little bit of damage on the SCVs, but the Mulist goes down a little bit too quick. He takes out a couple of depots, takes out an armory, taking down the science facility there as well, but the science facility won't go down because the Goliaths are now hammering away on the Mulisks. Because Jose had to pull back his mass to defend against those Mulisks, because those Mulisks were very high in number. But as a result, now Scan can move out with Zerglings and Lurker Swarm here into the front, and the Goliaths are not going to pose much of a threat against those Zerglings. I'm expecting Lurkers coming in soon as well. No Lurkers. Ultralisks though, 12 Ultralisks on the way. He's almost on maxed out upgrades for his ground forces. He only needs 1 more melee and 1 more Needle Spine attack upgrade to reach maximum upgrades on his ground. His air is almost on 2-2, but I don't think he's going to stick to air for much longer because he has the Ultralisks. Once the Ultralisks come through, it's going to be hell for Jose. Although, this wall here that Jose made in the front with his factories is honestly really cute, but also very effective because he creates this very tiny bottleneck that those giant Ultralisks have to go through. He's gonna have to take down those factories there first. He lost his Defiler, but 3 more Defilers are coming in from the back. Throws a Defiler down, so the Goliaths are now rendered useless. It's gonna all come down to those 2 tanks here in the front, and those 2 tanks that are in the front are honestly not dealing that much damage. Jose simply invested way too much of his supply space into Goliaths, and now it's gonna be a race against the clock because he has 9 tanks on the way, but will he have enough time? Is the question. Because the next wave of units is already spawning. Oh, he got a drop off. And he got... That's really smart. So he got a drop off. He used a vessel so that the drones could not burrow. But Scan has a lot of minerals, and I think Scan is going in for an all-in attack here by expending a large chunk of his mineral portion to have more units so he can keep going on the attack. Jose goes in once again with another drop. This time a lot of Scourges are spawning, and the Scourges are not shutting it down. Well, alright, the Scourges did shut it down. No tanks there on the low ground. It's only Goliaths. The vessels go down now as well. 29 drones are on the way for Scan. He's got his units now on the middle. Units still there in the front. Units have been shut down inside the base of Jose though. So here's the Expo coming in on the top. More units coming in here through the front. But I don't think they'll deal all that much damage. Oh, actually... a pretty good swarm comes down, which allows him to deal a little bit of damage to the Goliaths. But Scan is mostly just occupied with rebuilding his drone count. I don't know why I missed it. I would have loved to see it happen. I was like, what, a single second too late? I was a single second too late. That really sucks. But Sometimes it just happens when you're so focused on specific things happening, you sometimes lose track of more things happening. So he's just rebuilding his front here, throwing down some sunkens or spores, either of the two. He's got his divider there in the front with the lurker, but the lurker actually gets the swarm off just in time. Mutalisk killing those tanks. This time around he's overshooting on tanks. He does have some Valkyries, but the Valkyrie number is quite low and the upgrades are not matching the Mutalisk all that well. So actually he will kill. Actually the spores are also dealing damage to the Valkyries. It looks like Jose is getting a little bit exhausted here from the high pace of the game. He's sieging up his tanks on top of the lurkers even. Now it's just gonna be a huge tech switch from basically what Scan is doing, which is pretty smart. He's switching from ground to air, from ground to air. And every single time Jose tries to match one or the other, he's already running behind on the facts. Because one, he has too many Goliaths, which cannot match ground forces if they're under the Dark Swarm. So then he switches over to tanks, and Scan very quickly, very smartly and intelligently immediately switches over to Mutalisks. The upside of having a mass Zergling army is also that they are not very gas expensive. So you have a lot of gas after that Zergling wave. Oh, he lost his drones once again. Jose's been doing a pretty good job with those drops there, making sure Jose keeps losing his drones. But it might already be too late because those Mutalisks are tearing him apart, Lisa. They're absolutely tearing Jose apart here. Jose is pretty much already dead. There's nothing here to contest, and nothing that can spawn that can contest. What Scan already has in Jose's base. Plus, Scan already has drones back on his minerals, killed the dropship there, so there's nothing left for Jose here to put a stop to Scan's advance here. More Scourges coming in to shut down any of the air options. Although there are no air options, the starports are also dying, tanks on the ground are dying, more Zerglings now coming in once the tanks have died because there's nothing opposing them. And now it's just all up to Jose calling it the GG and leaving. But I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he's gonna just sit here for a couple more seconds, maybe 10, 20, 30, just to be a little bit of a dick. Because that's something Jose loves to do, being a dick. He's got a reputation of being a dick. He leaves the game, doesn't call GG, and that's the win for Scan over Jose, smurfing under the name Rillo. And Scan takes home the win, rather convincingly. Like the only things that were holding Scan back was Jose had some really good shots on Scan's drones and his workers, stopping his economy. But if that hadn't happened, Scan would have won about 15 minutes ago. He honestly would have, because he was just outplaying Jose on every single aspect of the game. Micro, macro, brain level, insight, reaction, planning, everything was in favor of Scan, and he's really showing off that he could just become the next big thing of fastest map. If he keeps playing it, keeps studying it, keeps learning more build orders, and most importantly, keeps facing different scenarios and formulates an answer to them. Because he honestly has one of the greatest analytical approaches to learning StarCraft, which is a very Korean thing. Korean semi-pros and amateurs and pro players have a very analytical approach to how they play the game and how they optimize it. It's a really well played game from Scan and somewhat well played from Jose, but Jose is not good enough and bites the dust.